He used to be obsessed with you. Now, he barely looks up when you walk in the room. You feel it in your gut before your brain can name it. Something's changed. He's not pulling away exactly, but he's not leaning in either. The texts are shorter. The compliments are gone. And even when you're sitting beside him, you feel miles apart. You start overthinking. Do I need to try harder, be sexier, be quieter? You wonder what happened to the version of you he couldn't get enough of. But what if I told you? She's still in there. She never left. She just got buried under stress, self-doubt, and trying too hard to please someone who stopped noticing. This isn't about chasing him. It's about reconnecting with the version of you that men, and more importantly, you, can't help but be drawn to. And it starts with 5 everyday habits. Tiny, unseen shifts that change how you show up and how he responds without even realizing it. First, let's talk about your body, not your shape, not your weight, your energy. A woman who respects her body walks differently. She moves like someone worth caring for, because she is. This doesn't mean hours in the gym or perfect skin. It means rest, nourishment, movement. It means dressing in clothes that make you feel alive, not just acceptable. When you show up in your own life like someone who matters, men feel that. I had a friend once who started walking every morning, not to lose weight, but to clear her mind. Within weeks, she noticed men treating her differently, holding doors, starting conversations. Nothing about her physically had changed, but her energy, it was unmistakable. That's what happens when you stop abandoning yourself. Next, curiosity. Do you know how rare it is for someone to really listen? To ask a question and actually care about the answer? That's what irresistible women do. They don't try to impress. They don't list their resume. They connect. And connection comes from curiosity. One woman I coached shifted everything just by asking herself one question every day. How can I make this conversation feel more human? Not flirtier, not sexier, just more human. When you do that, people lean in. They feel safe, and a man who feels safe in your presence will want to stay there. Now here's the one that scares most people: boundaries. But boundaries aren't walls. They're doors. They show people where the entrance is and what kind of energy is welcome inside. I had a client who used to answer late-night texts from a guy who barely made time for her during the day. The moment she stopped responding, he noticed. Not because she was playing games, but because she stopped leaking her energy towards someone who hadn't earned it. That's the power of a quiet no. It teaches the world how to treat you without you ever needing to raise your voice. Joy is one of the most overlooked forms of attraction. Not performative, bubbly, fake it for Instagram joy. Real joy. The kind you create for yourself. When you wake up excited for your life, even in tiny ways, you radiate something people want to be around. It might be cooking a new recipe, walking through your favorite bookstore, or blasting that song that makes you dance in your kitchen. I knew a woman who picked up pottery just for fun. Within months, her entire presence shifted. She stopped orbiting around his attention and started orbiting around her own joy. And guess what? He noticed. Because women who are lit from within don't need to chase love. Love finds them. Lastly, the habit that separates women who feel stuck from women who rise: emotional reflection. Instead of asking, "Why does this keep happening to me?" ask, "What am I learning from this?" Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet moment at night when you replay the day and realize you showed up with more grace than last year. That's power. I once journaled for 30 days straight after a breakup, not about him, but about me. What I learned, what I wanted, what I was no longer willing to tolerate. That journal didn't just heal me, it rebuilt me, stronger, softer, clearer. When you become a woman who learns from her story, you become the kind of woman who writes the next chapter on her own terms. So if you're sitting there wondering why the energy is shifted in your relationship, stop looking at him for the answer. Start with you. These 5 habits aren't about performance. They're about coming home to the version of you who's not asking to be chosen, because she already chose herself. And once you do that, everything around you changes. The way he looks at you, the way the world responds to you, and most importantly, the way you feel when you look in the mirror. That's the magic, and it starts right now